Shinvlogs number 38 with Book to Film Challenge Selection Brooklyn. Yay! By Colm Tobin. Now, this is actually my May Book to Film Challenge selection, but as I was reading another book similar in nature, another sort of coming of age, young woman, being in a different place, I decided, like, pretty similar, needing to travel to a different place and, fend for herself kind of stuff. So I decided to hold off reading this, and then I picked it back up recently, especially because the trailer came out for the movie, and I always like to read the book before I see the trailer, of course before I watch the film, but preferably before I see the trailer or even stills, because then I start to imagine it, and I like when I'm reading to still be in my own imagination. So anyway, so I completed that, yay, and I stuck with it, yay, even though I gotta say, it was, historical fiction is not one of my home genres or favorite genres, and so that was already a bit of a stretch for me. And this one is actually set in the 50s in both Ireland and Brooklyn, and follows a young girl who is starting to need to strike out on her own, or decides to. I don't know if she needs to, and so she comes to Brooklyn, and it's weird. I kept on pondering what the draw to this book was, because it has a pretty good rating and I've read lots of positive buzz about it, but I wasn't really connecting with the story, and I wasn't really connecting with the main character. It's written in third person, but it's always from her perspective, but it just feels a bit distanced, and I don't know if that is, I guess it's, I wonder if it's an active stylistic choice, one that I have not read a lot of books in from that perspective. I read a lot of first person, but not exclusively first person, so have it be third person wasn't really the issue. I just felt like I didn't know her, and it's funny because it's kind of one of the sort of, she even talks about that at some point, sort of knowing, wanting to know more about people and, their sort of deeper thoughts and stuff. And I'm like, I feel like that about you, darling. I just wanted to know more about her. What was her opinion on anything? And I wasn't getting it. And it's one of those things that I don't know if it's sort of like of the time and place. Is that like, is this really representative of how people thought and felt in the 50s in Ireland and in Brooklyn? I just don't know. So that made it quite a challenge. It's weird because it's like, on one hand, it was an easy read. Once I decided I wanted to read it, I just set aside the time and I read it. And, wasn't that engaged in the story, because I just felt like I felt like not that much was going on. Like, and feels kind of weird to say, but like, it really just felt like it was about her life. And not that books aren't, sort of always about, life, but like, I just felt like, I guess, like, it's so weird. I felt like my, my, my genre, um, preferences were showing, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not used to reading stuff that won't have like dragons or time travel or spacecrafts or telepathy or shape-shifting or something. And it's weird because I'm not exclusively a science fiction, fantasy, and paranormal reader right now. I've read a lot of that over the years, and I've recently read a lot more sort of regular fiction, literary fiction, general fiction, classics and stuff like that. So this is more of just like about someone's life, and I really was just kind of like, wow, I just not quite sure I'm getting what you're supposed to be getting from this. So that was a little sad. And one of the other huge challenges I found reading it is that there are no chapters. There are no chapters. So finding a good place to stop reading was really hard. And there are some breaks, like some paragraph breaks, and obviously now we're going on to something else, but there weren't that many. And as I said, I read it once I set my sights on finishing it. It wasn't hard to finish, but I did find I couldn't figure out what the flow of it is. There are parts, but one part, like, I think a couple of the parts are short, but mostly I wouldn't read one part in one go, and I had pretty dedicated time reading it. So that's a bit weird. So I don't know, like, it's just, I don't know, if I'm too genre happy and reading just something about someone's life at a time where I don't know, maybe that really is how people thought like then. Like it really was very like I don't know, like just not even too much. Like I felt like she didn't have ambition or drive or dreams. Like it was just, how to what the next step in ordinary life is, and let's take that. And it does remind me a little bit of talking to my mom about some things that I remember asking her about. And she would be about the same age as his character at that time. And she like and sometimes when I talk to her about sort of choices and stuff, and she's like, well, that's just what you did. Like, and I'm like, wow. You did I love being spoiled for choice and having options and feeling like you can do anything, but it makes me realize how foreign what was, and maybe for a lot of people still is normal, feels so foreign. Like it really, really does. So I don't know. So I was not very connected to the character or the stories. There were some lovely things about it. I have now watched the trailer. The casting is really good. And has some big names for a lot of big names actually. I don't know if I say her name right. Saoirse Ronan is in the lead role, and then we also have Jim Broadbent and Julie Walters in some supporting roles. And the guys in it, I don't recognize them, but especially Tony, great casting, really, really good casting. So, and it's as I often I feel about film trailers, I do feel like it shows way too much. But I had really just finished the book. I do feel like when I see it, it feels I get the sentiment of a story within the book, and I can understand the direction they're going and what the focuses will be, but I don't necessarily know if that's the focuses I felt were in the book. I felt like it really was more simply her life, and the film focuses more on her romantic life. And they are making the film apparently a romantic comedy. It didn't look very funny to me. Not like it looked unfunny, but it looked like a drama over comedy, and that's fine. I think that suits it. I do not remember one comedic thing. Oh, there was a couple. There were very few comedic things that happened. She's certainly not like a comedic type person. I can't remember her finding anything funny at all. So that was a bit of a weird one. I am glad that I finished it. It reminded me though that historical fiction is neither my forte or my favorite, although as I said, it was an easy read. So yeah, if you've read it and you enjoyed it, I would love to hear what it was about it that you really connected to or that you really enjoyed, because I'm searching and I feel so uncertain. And like even when I gave it, ended up giving it a 3-star rating on Goodreads, and I'm like, and I really just don't feel, hugely like the writing was fine, it was good, but it didn't grab my heart, and I really expected this one to grab my heart. So anyway, so that was the May choice. I've already read Jungle Book, which is the June choice, and now I've just started the July choice, which is The Price of Salt, which ironically is set in New York at the same period of time, but has a way different tone, way different. So that'll be interesting too. I think I might have picked a little too much historical fiction this year, and I actually feel like Brooklyn feels like historical fiction, whereas The Price of Salt is not historical fiction because it was written at the time. Like this is written, it can't be historical fiction if it was written in the present when it was published. So just to separate out the differences there just a little bit. But yeah, straight up historical fiction, I haven't been having much luck. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Thanks so much for watching.